In this demo, I'm going to talk about drawing a piece of furniture, such as a chair or a table, in one-point perspective. The first thing you're going to want to do is figure out where the vanishing point is. So here I am finding the main orthogonals, those diagonal lines that I see, and I'm following them to see where they intersect. You can do this in a couple ways. You can use a pencil or even two pencils, one in each hand, and you can close one eye, keep your hands straight in front of you, and line your pencils up with those orthogonals to see where they intersect. Or if it helps as you're learning, you could take a picture of the piece of furniture and do it by looking at the photograph. Since the photograph is going to simplify it into a two-dimensional image, it can sometimes help you when you're learning to find these points to see the photograph and then go back to drawing it by looking at the actual object. I like to look at more than two orthogonal lines to find that vanishing point. So you see here I'm looking at both sides of the armrest on both sides of the chair. I'm also looking at the edges of those cylinder-shaped pillows, and I'm just kind of checking all those orthogonals and making sure they're all going to that same vanishing point, just to make sure that I'm looking at it correctly and I really have a good sense of where that vanishing point is. So once I know where the vanishing point is in my sketchbook, I want to put that vanishing point on my page. And now that I know that this chair is below the vanishing point, I know that I want to have that vanishing point towards the top of the page so that I have plenty of room to draw the chair. Now, of course, looking at this chair, I already knew that the vanishing point was going to be above because I can see the tops of the chair. I can see the tops of the armrest and I can see the tops of those cylinder cushions. So that tells me right away that my point of view, that horizon line is going to be above the chair, that I'm looking down at the chair ever so slightly. The vanishing point isn't far from the top of the chair, which means I'm just looking down at it just the littlest bit. All right, so once I have the vanishing point established on my paper, I want to look for those rectangles and squares that are facing me, and I'm looking for the most kind of major ones that show me the overall shape of the object first, and then I'll break that down more specifically to get all the individual components. So the very front face of this chair is basically one big rectangle, and I'm going to start by drawing in that rectangle. It's pretty light here on the video with the light blue line, but hopefully you can see it. And once I have that larger rectangle drawn in, then I can start breaking it down into the smaller components of the chair. So the vertical rectangles that make up those two armrests, I'll go ahead and I'll start drawing those in so that I can see those rectangles, and then from those rectangles I'll be drawing the orthogonal lines that go back to that vanishing point that show me the top of the armrest. I add a horizontal line here at the back of the chair, so that shows me where those armrests end. From there, I can go on and look for other areas where I can break down the components of the chair. So I'm looking now at the front of this cushion. So there's the front of the cushion and then there's the base of the chair. So I draw that as one rectangle first and then divide it into the two sections. I can then also take my pencil and kind of curve, show the curvature of that cushion. It's obviously not a perfect rectangle. It's a little bit round. And from the corner of that rectangle from the cushion, there's also a very short orthogonal line right there that goes back to those vanishing points. So I can draw those in. The cushions obviously cover that up. If there were no cushions, we'd be able to see that orthogonal going all the way back until it hit the back of the chair. Once I have those orthogonals in, I can draw that, again, horizontal line to show me the back side of the cushion. I can then start drawing in the actual cushion. So I've got pretty much two circles for the front faces of those cushions, and then from the edges of those circles, again, I have the two orthogonal lines going back. And the back edge of the cushions is just going to mimic the curve that's on the front end of the cushions. Lastly, I'm going to draw in this rectangle that is showing the back side of the chair. So this rectangle also is below the horizon line, but because it's not that far below the horizon line and it's also a little bit rounded on top, it's a little bit hard to see the top edge there, but there is just the tiniest bit of top that is showing on the top edge of this cushion. So I'm going to draw the bottom legs in. I draw a horizontal line, make sure my legs are lined up, and then I can go ahead and draw in the two legs. So now I have all my major lines in. For the sake of this exercise, I do not want to erase all of those orthogonal lines because I want to make sure that when you submit the assignment, I can see what you did. So you can erase them lightly so that I can still just see them a little bit, or you can erase small sections of them if they're really getting in the way of the, being able to read the drawing. But don't completely erase them. Make sure that I still can see your process in terms of how you drew your piece of furniture. So you can see here I'm just very lightly cleaning it up just the littlest bit until I get to my final sketch.